complicated, sound no vibe at all. She's kinda small and sagging tits. I heard she fucked a guy to get in or throw shade. It's okay. People stare at what I wear, get upset when I gain weight. Lame as trolls, pink body airs, pass of insincere excuses. What am I gonna do with those pass of insincere excuses? Oh, I can't sit here
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay? Good. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to mute down for a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are debating sweep. We're getting set up, so just bear with me. Yeah, man, I mean, we're going to be all right, so we're doing it through Discord. Okay, all right, cool. I got to turn my camera on then. All right. Mm, 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 mm. All right, let me see. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do any of that stuff, man. Never did. I never started, so I never had to quit. All right. Uh, yeah, I mean, he told me at 5 o'clock this or 4:45 this morning. So I have zero figures and facts as well. Pardon me. Yeah, so I'm Grid One Motorsports. I'm an unreasonable man is the name of my channel. You can find it at Grid One Dash Motorsports. on YouTube. I do stream to Twitch and all the others sometimes, but not very much lately. And I'm trying to figure out how to make all this work, 'cause I don't normally go through Discord. So let me. Yeah, it's probably. I mean, I'm going to rate him like probably in the. If I had to give him a grade, it's like a B plus. There's some things I wish that he obviously could do better, but it's it's all fine right now. Um, I do think that I think he's toned down the rhetoric a little bit, but maybe not quite enough. He still says things that people take at face value when he's actually just being very rhetorical and bombastic to an extent. But overall, pretty happy. You know, I have some. I have criticisms, just like I have criticisms of anyone else. But overall, pretty good. Um, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to give me that again. I was distracted trying to set up this Discord. Yes, the signal app thing. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it was a bad choice to use Signal at all. I think it's an even worse choice. I mean, I can understand some of the things that we all play into where it's easy, or hey, everybody's using this particular software, like using Discord tonight instead of just fucking it up on Streamlabs or some shit. But um, I get it. I've never bought into the security of Signal. I'm slightly familiar with it, not super familiar with the actual use of it, and I mean, I would never use it for a group thing like that. And I wouldn't. I don't know that I would. Just the way it went down, it just seems like there was an expectation that the reality didn't meet. Right? Like for some reason, they thought that the Signal app was going to be secure, but it's not secure if somebody can literally just um, invite somebody in and you not know it, and they can screen capture everything that you're doing. So that seems just like this seems like a interesting, yeah, I think it was a large group, right? It was multiple people, and not everybody knew everybody that was, invited. Yeah, not everybody knew everybody that was invited, so if you just see a name at the bottom of the page, you're like, "Yeah, okay, I don't know who that guy is." Um, I mean, my thoughts are I mean, I guess it's the kind of the same thing. I mean, it's really I mean, I I can't go along with it's equivalent, but it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like this is where literally a guy was given access by somebody else who didn't have permission to give access, and for whatever reason it just went unnoticed, or they didn't care, or the group was, there's 19 people, and the guy was at the very bottom and they didn't scroll down, and it whatever it was, whether or not the information is classified, declassified, I honestly, that's the least part of the issue to me, right? The issue is that their procedures were um so lax. I can't think of a better word. Is it just lax. Well, I could also say trusting and unfamiliar, but yeah, sure. I do think that whoever set it up had a lot of faith in this, and had a lot of faith in the people that was not well earned, right? Um, and so I don't have a problem with Trump's cabinet picks. I have a problem with the guy who actually invited this news person in, who is literally an anti-Trump, anti-everything guy. Like, why is that guy involved? I mean, who thought that was a good idea? I mean, I don't know that I don't know if I trust him now. I mean, I probably would have before he invited someone that's a known bad person, or not bad person, but a known leaker of secrets. Yeah, yeah. Again, I think this is more of a breakdown of. I think this is more a breakdown of procedure, right? Like I had the same thing happen to some degree in my company, right? Where people that were not supposed to be in meetings were just randomly invited because somebody thought they should be there, and I'm like, why is this fucker here, right? Why what the problem is? Sorry, I'm not googling. So Okay, so I don't disagree with. I mean, in a way, I don't disagree with that. I think Waltz. I don't know enough about Waltz to know whether he was a good pick or a bad pick. I don't know if he's good at his job or bad at his job. But what I do know is that um, he apparently made a very stupid mistake, and that needs to be reconsidered. Right? Um, if if we all hired winners every time, then business would never suffer, unfortunately, and nobody would get fired. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. And honestly, I don't know that Waltz did it himself. I don't know that some staffer just added somebody to the list. This is my problem is more with the procedure here, right? Like there's got to be a procedure in place for who gets to invited to these meetings and why they're there and what kind of credentials are involved. And this seems like, yeah, it seems like it's fast and loose, right? Um, Sorry, I got my phone ringing here. Give me one sec, guys. I apologize. Yeah, what's up? I'm trying to get so they're doing this whole debate on Discord, and I have one video, one window that changes between the three of whoever's talking, and I need to pop it. I need to make it a different window so that I can move it into Discord.
Like you can't have clients lose all their info to like because of you. Like that's a no. Great. It looks like you're back here.
I am.
You're muted if you're.
You're muted. You're muted though. I can.
Oh, sorry.
You're muted on your end.
My bad. I had a phone call, so I had to. I'm sorry. I apologize about that.
You're
This
good.
was
You're good.
this was
Absolutely.
technically unplanned, and my wife may call.
Was that Pete Hegseth?
I'm sorry.
Was that Pete?
Was that Michael Waltz calling you?
No.
Is your Venmo check in the mail? If it is, feel free to send some my way.
No.
No. All right. Yeah. So moving on.
All right. Yeah. So
the way I think we're going to do this, I'm just going to fire bullet points here because it's a lot of things in Trump's first 68 days. Let's talk about the other big news, I guess, in the last 24 hours was Canada saying that the alliances with the U.S. are basically done, and then Trump today saying they had a very productive call. What are our thoughts on this? We'll start with you this time, Soy Pill. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the way that Donald Trump is attacking Canada is ridiculous. I mean, talking about, or even something you said at the beginning that kind of stood out to me. I noticed you didn't really say any specifics, Grid, about like what you really liked. I mean, I'm sure I'm not accusing you of being vapid or anything. I'm sure there are things that you could point to, and we'll get to those. But one thing you did say was people are getting upset because of his rhetoric, because he's saying things that he's not really like meaning them. And this is kind of an earmark of Trump's presidency. It's like, oh, he doesn't really mean what he says, and it's a defense for all of the egregious and ridiculous things that he says. So when he says things like, let's make Canada the 51st state, it doesn't matter if he's joking. What matters is he's the president, and he's doing things that would imply that he does want to make Canada the 51st state. He does want to take over, and he's ruining our relations with an ally. He's talking crap about a trade deal that was signed with them because he says, we have a trade deficit or something like that, which I'm not even sure he knows what a trade deficit is. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but he signed that deal. Now he's imposing tariffs on Canada that are hurting American businesses because he's under the implication that, hey, all these industries and factories are going to come back, but just 2 or 3 years after we completely tank the economy and completely screw investors over because they're completely uncertain about what the market's going to be. I just think he is destroying every goodwill we've had with not just Canada, but all of our other countries. And I do think that would he have the ability to, he would invade and take it over and make it the 51st state. So not very happy with how he's treating them.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so I read, and I don't know how accurate this is because, I mean, can you really believe the press? But I read that on some article about how they were laying off like 250,000 Canadian employees because of the tariffs and trade restrictions, and that's a tragedy for them. But I gotta say, their socialist policies got them to that point. So I find it hard to really care what happens in Canada. I don't necessarily consider.
Could you elaborate on that?
Hold on,
what do you mean?
Hold on.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'll stop.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't actually consider Canada much of an ally. I consider them more of a at best, the guy next door that leaves his trash in my yard and parks his beat up 4-wheel drive on my fucking driveway, Gibbs. And I don't really. It's kind of like Mexico, but with a slightly bigger wallet, and I just don't care. I wouldn't mind annexing Canada, except that I don't want to pay the bill for it. At the end of the day, Trudeau drove their country to savage state, and they're going to suffer. And I think short term, maybe tariffs hurt more than we think they are. I don't know. I remain unconvinced. We'll find out here shortly. I really like the idea of how the other countries are responding by dropping their tariffs or lowering their tariffs they've had in place for decades. And I really find it interesting. And maybe you can explain this because you seem like a bright guy. Why is it that every other country in the world can put a tariff on our goods, which is what makes our goods so expensive, but we get pissed off when we tariff their goods so that our goods are, so that we compete on an equal playing field? I actually believe in free trade, free of government interference. I am actually an isolationist. I believe, and I won a debate on that the other night, and handily, I should say. Yeah, I think that if it hurts, it hurts. But if it hurts and gets us to a better place, that's better than the alternative of our never-ending spending, which at some point will crash down upon our ears and we'll be in the next Great Depression or some other thing like that. It's just not sustainable. And I'm all for, and I'm going to use a word that you leftists should absolutely enjoy and covet and love. I'm all about sustainability, and the way that we're treating our economy is not sustainable. So Trump needs to fix that. Trump is going to fix it. So good. Sorry,
Okay.
Toypo, I talked a little long time.
Yeah. No, you're good. By the way, at the beginning, like when I interrupt, it's only because like I know we're saying a lot of points. I'm not trying to do it to like undermine you. Just I want to like hit on one thing. Sometimes I can't remember it all. Feel free to do it back the other way. So the first thing, this idea that Canada is socialist, I think, I mean, obviously on a spectrum compared to us, sure it is, but I mean, like because they have universal health care, they're very much still a capitalist country. There's no like workers owning the means of production. But to say that the 250,000 layoffs are because of Trudeau, I mean, they're happening because of the tariffs, right? Steel workers are being laid off because steel is now way too expensive. They can't afford to pay all of their employees. It's happening because of the trade war that Trump is imposing. Now, whether or not you care about that, like you said, if you don't care, you don't care. That's fine. I mean, I care, but it's fine if that's your opinion on it. But it's not because of Trudeau's socialist policies. Just because you asked in good faith, and I appreciate if you think I'm bright, why do people get mad about us tariffing? It's not just because we're putting tariffs, right? So every president does tariffs. Tariffs are a natural part of the ebb and flow of trade. Sometimes we want to be more protectionist.
I appreciate you admitting that.
Which thing?
I appreciate you admitting that.
Oh, yeah.
Giving me
so
the
anyone
line
who just says
that economic, the common line, economic experts say that tariffs are universally bad or whatever. So thank you.
So yeah, I think that might be an interpretation. I know some people might say that and they not know. They just think, oh, tariff bad. Because I'll admit this, I did not focus on tariffs until very recently when they became a big talking point, right? Like I knew what they were, but I had to go do some research on them because I don't think this is something that your day-to-day person thinks about. But the thing is, they've always been there, right? We do some tariffs on certain products that we want our farmers to have an easier time doing. I think soybeans is one of them because we say, hey, look, like China could do this for way cheaper. They pay their workers way less, but we don't want our farmers to go bankrupt. So we've been doing stuff like that for, as far as I know, like the history of America. However, what Trump was doing, and which is very different, and what people is upset, and which is, I think, tanking our economy right now, is proposing these blanket tariffs, these massive tariffs on an unprecedented scale. So I think in his campaign, he said, let us put a 25% tariff on every incoming good. This is, and if you do believe in free trade, this is completely the opposite of free trade. I mean, it's interesting. You said you were free trade. You also said you're isolationist. These are kind of conflicting ideas. Free trade is kind of this globalist idea of, hey, let's have as little restriction on trade with every country as possible. Maybe there's some comparative advantage from Taiwan. They're better at making chips, so we can get our chips from Taiwan. Sure. Mexico has cheaper manufacturing. We can get our car parts from there. And that is a globalist idea. It's very anti-isolationist. Isolationists would...
I want to stop you just for 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. No, anytime you need to.
Actually, I'm not interventionist. I just have to use the term isolationist so most people kind of clue in on
you just mean I don't want to go do wars in other countries.
I don't believe our country should dictate economic policy. I do not believe that our country should subsidize other foreign nations at the expense of our taxpayers. And I believe that militarily, all of our military belongs within our borders, and us providing the veil of security for the world is a bad thing.
Okay, we can get on that. But I guess just the last thing I'll say about the tariff thing is, people and economists don't think tariffs are bad, period. Every country does tariffs. Economists think that the precedent of tariffs, the degree of tariffs that Trump is imposing and the way that he's doing it, first of all, the purpose is, I want to bring back American industry, and it's clearly not working. You can, if you want like a historical precedent with Trump, you can look at I think it's 2019, maybe it was 2017, the steel tariffs. It really didn't bring industry back, and you kind of look at all of the analyses. At worst, at best, it was neutral. At worst, it actually hurt our economy and our steel industry. And he's doing this under this veil of I can use these tariffs to bring back American industry, and it just doesn't seem to be something that anyone thinks will happen, at least to the degree of all the smartest economists in the world. Now, if you're hesitant to defer to those experts, I understand that. I understand questioning experts. I don't think you shouldn't, but I just don't know who else you would trust for this. And it seems like across the political spectrum, they all kind of agree that this is not going to work. But do you want to talk about this idea of like you don't want to be the world police?
Well, I want to make clear one thing to my chat here real quick. I do not co-sign that. That's a conservative. I definitely have a much different take on that. But go ahead, Grid.
Which part?
So you want to be wait? Are you not you want to be the world police, Gibbs?
No, I want to be an imperialist and just like.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like, let's just like take over Haiti. Like, tell me, hey, well, all right, we're gonna derail if we do this. But
yeah, I got it.
Go ahead, Grid. Answer this.
Yeah,
thing.
I'm not an
imperialist.
I do not. You do not hear the Empire Death March playing in the background over here. So I want to take it back 1 second before we move into because I don't want to move off topic. Because you said something really important about subsidizing soybeans, and the reason that we have to do that is not because we don't want China China can sell them here cheaper. It's that we want U.S. farmers to grow those instead of growing other crops, and this has actually hurt us many times over throughout the last 100 years, where and the most famous example is Jimmy Carter said to grow corn, grow wheat. We're going to grow all these things. We're going to sell them to Russia. We were going to sell them to the Ukraine, and it didn't work. And you may remember, have you ever heard a song by John Cougar Mellencamp, "Blood on the," Scarecrow? Blood on the Scarecrow.
Probably. I have a white boomer dad, so I almost.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm old. I remember this. I remember the white crosses in the town squares. One cross for every farm that was auctioned off. Because what happened is Carter told them to grow, do all of this stuff, and they did, and it took out massive loans because farming is a very poor business model, but they take out all these loans to buy seed, to buy equipment, to buy fuel, and then at the end of the year they sell the crops and they pay back the bank and they have money left over. And they did that. The only problem is nobody bought that wheat, nobody bought that corn, nobody bought any of that. And so we constantly meddle in markets. The government does. When I say we, I mean the government. I'm not talking about you, and I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about our government.
Proverbial we.
Yeah, the proverbial we here. And we're wrong. We get it wrong so often that we should not be doing it. Right? You can't point to a foreign war or police action. So we haven't had a war since World War II. You can't point to a single military involvement that we've been in the last 70 years that has worked out for us. Not one.
Bosnian genocide. I think we did a pretty good job stopping that. I'm a big supporter of that.
Yeah, but then the Serbians and Croatians went right back at it and started killing each other all over again. They were still killing us.
Sure, but we've secured the independence and security of the Albanian Muslims in Kosovo. I think they're doing pretty well and recovering pretty well. Well, last time I was there in 2012, they're doing pretty well.
Just to throw this out here, that kind of really, I don't know, like for every good we do, I do have a concern here. Like sometimes it's I don't know our politics, but like why, like I have a friend who's Kurdish, right, and we left them out to dry. I find our policy kind of inconsistent on both sides when we talk about going overseas and invade, stopping the Serbian genocide, but we're gonna let Saddam Hussein gas the Kurds. It's or ISIS kill the Kurds and whatever, Turkey kill the Kurds, and I find it just interesting, like I don't know, maybe this is a meta-analysis, like which genocides are the ones we're all mad about and which ones.
Yeah,
not.
I mean
that's more of a meta thing. I don't know why.
That's beyond the scope of this. I just kind of wanted to, again, I think Trump is trying to draw us out of the world stage as much as possible while retaining what might we can have. And I think that that's a good thing. And he can do that through tariffs. He can do that through other means. And I'm okay with it. I really am. I'm actually really okay
doing that
with
when he I understand your point, but do you think he's doing that when he's talking about like annexing Greenland or the Panama Canal? Like, it really does seem like he is doing
Well, I
imperialist
think the Panama
things
Canal
at
Well,
the
that's
same time.
perfect. I want to talk about that Greek because you just brought this up in your last kind of thing, maybe a few
Yes.
minutes ago. You said I don't want to pay for Canada, like whether we invade or we buy it or whatever. Now I have floated several proposals previously, like how we could buy Greenland. You know, I've seen that come about, right? What is the fundamental difference to you in regards to like buying Greenland and buying Canada? What do you see the fundamental difference as?
I mean, I think that it's. Look, I have not. We'd have to annex Greenland, right? They would basically have to vote. I mean, not Greenland, Canada. They'd have to vote unilaterally to be a part of the U.S., which I think honestly most of them would at this point. But
I think the polling doesn't support that. If you
really,
seen the polling again,
I'll have to look again. But last time I looked at the polling, it was pretty heavily weighted towards being part of the U.S. So, and the Greenland thing is weird to me. It seems like that should be a pretty straightforward international deal. There's only 58,000 people that live on that hunk of rock. It does have some minerals. It does have some value. I mean, it's not worthless ground, but it's freaking.
Real quick, I'll link this to you, Gibbs. It's a YouGov poll said 15% of Canadians support it. 8% not sure, 77% strongly or somewhat opposed. But this is a YouGov poll. I don't know like what sources.
Yeah, I don't know. But I forget what I saw a poll where it was something like 53% said okay, and a bunch of undecideds and whatever. It doesn't matter.
I'll just make a group DM. So if you want to post the sources or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. For now, it's in your DM chat. But I just don't think Canada wants this. I think the same thing for Greenland. It's 6%. So the problem is Trump is continuing this rhetoric of, hey, I'm going to do this. He talks about these potentially peaceful options. Like, don't get me wrong. If somehow Canada said 90% of Canada voted, or even like a majority, however their political system works, said, let's become part of America, I'd say, okay, look, I don't know why they'd want that. Maybe it's to make their currency better because their monopoly money sucks. But, I understand. Like, it's like, okay, that at least they're voting on it.
Maybe they just want everyone to forget about war crimes.
Maybe, yeah. But here's the thing: they're not. All right, so, like that's not going to happen. That's like a pie in the sky thing. And so the only other way this is going to happen, and he's continuing to push for it, is military force or some sort of like egregious, overuse of our hard power. And it seems, I mean, this stranger things have happened, and NATO has already talked about should we be putting troops on the border of Greenland to defend against an American incursion, which is one of the scariest things I've read all year. That was
would be
like
hilarious. That would actually be really hilarious.
Well, hilarious in the sense of they thought they could maybe take the U.S. military, because you're right, we are the strongest military, and we'd stop.
No, I mean it's NATO, just hilarious that NATO thinks they can do anything without the U.S.
No, right. Again, I understand that. What I'm saying is, that's
who's going to give them a ride?
Like, yeah,
who's going to give them a ride? They don't even have airplanes. What are you
I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is,
they're going to come on, man. Well, let's have some intellectual
that's
honesty.
terrifying that we would go to war with Europe to annex a independent country that doesn't want to be a part of the U.S. That is insane to me. Like, I don't think we should do that. And I think that American troops or European troops dying over this piece of land that Trump is pushing for is very scary. So I very much hope he doesn't do this.
I think it's very interesting.
Action, hold on. Let me ask a question. Yeah. So you said that it's scary, right? So Are you announcing like Manifest Destiny or invading Mexico and conquering all of like the California area and all that? Like, do you think it's always bad when someone gets conquered and brought into the fold, or are you saying that only specifically in this case? Like,
are you talking about like in our history, like the conquering?
Yeah. Would you say that? Because I think
it's hard for me to put a moral compass of today onto like obviously I can look back and say I don't like the way the conquistadors killed all of these Native Americans. I don't like the way that Europeans came in and slaughtered people and took over their land. And like I think in a modern lens though we can see that maybe that was bad back then. It doesn't matter. Guys. This has happened. Maybe we can rectify. I don't know. But now we shouldn't be doing this to independent sovereign countries. I mean, the whole reason that we're like defending Ukraine is like, hey, like Russia's taking over their sovereignty. They're defending themselves. And in the same way, I would say, people should fund the shit out of Greenland if America's going to attack it. Like, why should we get our might?
You think international
58,000 people that are living there?
Sorry, say again.
All 58,000 people that live on Greenland.
So yeah, I guess this is going to go to you, Grid. So he basically, from what I understand, he's a fan of international rules based order. You're wanting to go to a more isolationist stance, not like full isolationist. It doesn't seem like, but some kind of
taking over
hybrid version,
Greenland is not isolationist,
which is not isolationist, right? Yeah. So
hold on. Conquering is not intervening.
Well, it's not isolationist either.
Conquering's just that's just real estate.
Well, so if you're anti-interventionalist, that's I understand that you're like, hey, I don't think we should be subsidizing or defending these countries that have nothing to do with us. But I mean, I actually do want to get to that in just a second. But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't use the word isolationist because it's very much
I only
mutually exclusive from invading Greenland.
Yeah, and here's I guess here's where I really am at on the Greenland Canada thing. If we wanted to annex Canada, all we'd have to do is extend the border of Texas to the Canadian border, and it'd be done the next day.
Yeah, probably. I agree with that. But like, okay, well, let's move to another international.
I'm being a little tongue in cheek there. I'm being a little tongue in cheek there, but Canada's disarmed their citizens. Like literally, the average Tennessee Boy Scout troop could probably take Canada. Right? We have more guns than
it's just like a might makes right thing, right?
Well, no, it's just like, might makes.
Right, I hear it say that, but again, like I don't think it's right to go do that. Yeah, obviously we could, like the American government, if we wanted to, could probably take over Canada. We absolutely could take over. I don't think
we could do it.
We should
in like a couple of weeks with very little blood.
Careful, that's you're sounding like Vladimir Putin saying we could take Kiev in 2 weeks. Look how well that worked out for them. But let me say this: look. Just on the topic of like subsidizing these other countries, and it's like, yeah, obviously, I mean, I'm not a geopolitical expert, an international law expert. I am not just international relations expert, but I do know this, and everything I've ever read and everything I've ever learned tells me that what America does abroad every single time is for our interests. So we don't fund Ukraine because we're like, oh, that poor homeless guy on the corner, here's $100 because I'm just so altruistic. It's because it helps us, right? Like we can give them, you can say, oh, we're giving them money, we're giving them resources, but in the end, like it serves our political goals. And the same reason we went to Vietnam, same reason we did Iraq, same reason we did the Gulf War, all the soft power we do, all the hard power we do, any intervention is to serve American interests, and because we might be getting something back.
Well,
so
again, I think that's the idea, but I think it fails at that. And here's why. You can't point to an example where we've intervened where it's had the outcome that we wanted. Well, it may have been the outcome we wanted, but it wasn't the outcome the average American wanted. And let's take you back to 1953. The CIA helps the UK topple the duly elected prime minister of Iran, installing the Shah, who becomes a fundamentalist, who then ushers in all of the what do they call them again? I'm having drawn a blank on their religion.
The Ayatollahs?
Yeah, the Ayatollahs. Thank you. Who ushers in Sharia law and absolutely destroys that country. That country, if you look at pictures back from the early 1950s and late 40s, Iran, Iraq, they were beautiful countries. Modern, absolutely modern cities, modern women, modern dudes running around in suits. We've turned them into goat herders again. Now, why do we do that? Well, it was to serve our purposes of oil.
Yeah. No, so let me be clear. You're not going to get me, someone on the left, to defend a lot of the U.S. interventionism as like, oh, this is good. All I'm saying is it seems to be at odds with your ideology, because if you want a strong America, these sorts of things make us strong. We absolutely get it wrong, like in that example.
We've had
yeah, you're right. That example absolutely was a huge fuck up. And you can look at like any of the soft, like, I don't know. Again, I'm going to bring up the Bosnian intervention. I mean, like, we have good relations with Albania and Kosovo. Obviously, Serbians aren't a big fan of the U.S. or NATO, but like, these were interventions that I think one was, this America didn't really give a shit, but like, hey, we're stopping a genocide, so that's altruistic. But really, hey, now we have a country in this area that is not subservient to us, but sympathetic to us because we help them, remain sovereign.
Let's move to another point you brought up, Soy, which was you brought up okay, now I'm blanking. The Panama, a lot of conservatives in my circle. Once again, I try to like openly say where I come from so that people can know and I can feel like a semi-fair moderator. I will complain about how we're getting boned by Panama, right? Like we're paying 54,473. I might be a few $100s off per ton on average per ship, and then I think it's something like 60 to 70% of the shipping they get is American shipping. And we built this canal for them, and now they're just boning us. And it's if we took it over and reduced that cost, we would see instant impacts here at home. What do you say to people like those conservatives? And then I'll let Grid respond in regards to something like the Panama Canal. Like this seems like something I'm a massive fan of. I think we've been getting fleeced by them, and I think Carter was it Jimmy? Yeah, Carter was almost nearly traitorous for giving it back to him in the manner he did. What are your opinions on it? And then I'll go to Grid.
Well, so that last thing you said, I mean, it is true. We would save a lot of money if we took over the Panama Canal and stopped them from tolling each per ton, like all of the shipping we do through it. But this idea is, just because it's true doesn't mean we should. If we took over China and took over their solar panel factories, we would absolutely have cheaper solar manufacturing. But I don't think we should take over China. Panama's a sovereign nation. They have control of the Panama Canal. If we want to use some sort of like U.S. Power, whether that be soft power or some sort of trade negotiation to try to get a better deal, as Trump is the deal maker, supposedly maybe he could negotiate that toll down. I would be understandable of that if it made sense. But this idea that they're charging us for the service that they're allowing us to go through this Panama Canal, which they now have control over. So we should take over them because that'll give us cheaper goods. Like you could say this about anything, invading any sovereign nation. I just don't think we should be invading people to make our economy a slightly better.
That's not intellectually honest, is it? You're not being you know better than that, right?
Well, hold on.
I want to clarify something.
Yeah.
If you ever think I'm being intellectually dishonest, I promise you I'm just stupid or misinformed.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I have to ask because some people want to, they play games. So we built the Panama Canal at a great cost of lives and money.
Right.
We operated it. The terms that we gave it back to, or we didn't give it back to Panama. We sold it to Panama for like $1 or something. Jimmy Carter did that. It was a bad deal for us. I don't know why he did it. And I believe part of the terms were that they were going to allow our ships, since we built it, to pass through as they had been before, which wasn't for free, but it was there was some like price there. I'd have to look it up, and I don't care enough.
Yeah, there's a 25-year contract under Carter.
So I don't think that they've necessarily violated the terms, but they've unnecessarily taken it, or they're taking advantage of something that they were given basically for free. And I don't see. I'm on the fence on this because hey, we made a deal. It wasn't the best deal for us.
Mm-hmm.
Carter should have driven a harder bargain. I don't really know. I mean, that's back in the Jim Jones thing. There was a lot of weird stuff going on down in Panama in that area. Who knows what? Who knows what I don't know off the top of my head. But let
me ask you this: if you tried to sell me one of those guns back there, the one on the very bottom, you said, "Hey, I'm going to sell you this gun," and I said, "I'll give you $10 for it," and you said, "Awesome, cool deal,
Trump
right?"
That.
$10. No, it's an amazing deal, right? All right. So then you walk away from this, and then 30 years later, you say, "Hold on, I just checked it out.
Yeah.
This gun's worth $2,500. You scammed me." And now you are running off. You ran off with my money. I'm going to come into your house.
And that's the problem I'm having with this. That's the problem.
Take my gun back. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe it was a bad deal, but it doesn't justify invading.
Yeah, right. And that's what I was saying. It was a deal. We made the deal. I guess the only thing I can agree with Trump on is if they're I've not looked into this. I'm not Googling right now. Like both my hands. I don't know.
I am, by the way. So
that's
feel
fine.
free
That's
to.
Fine. I try and do everything. I try and do everything from my actual knowledge, and that way I may learn something.
I don't trust anyone, not even myself. So
at the end of the day, I think that the deal Carter made was partly political. Who knows? He made a bad. It wasn't a good deal maker anyway. Let's just be honest. And I think Trump wants to I think he's tried to make a new deal. He doesn't think they're going to go for it. I think he's rattling his sword to see if he can pull them back to the table.
So you don't think he's being serious about threatening military force?
I can never tell if Trump is being serious about threatening military force. So far, what we've seen, just going on his record, is he rattles that saber a lot, and people come back to the table.
Well, the reason they do is because they take him seriously. Because they think,
yeah.
hey, the leader of the free world's threatening me with the strongest military in the world. It doesn't matter if he's joking because I'm going to take this as a serious threat. So, like, yeah.
Well, I gotta press back against that, Grid. He doesn't rattle the saber. Do you remember he turned General Salami into salami?
Soleimani.
Like, yeah, I mean, Soleimani got turned into salami, bro. Like, I don't think
he's a bad guy. And he deserved it.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Do you know Russia when they attacked the troops in Syria and he told the troops, "Hey, do what you want," and they wiped out like what 50 or 500 or some outrageous amount of wagons. Listen, I could.
Well,
the same thing.
He bombed right?
Syria.
It is the carrot or the stick.
If you want my analysis, and this is where I'm going to push back. This is why Trump is hard to negotiate with, because he is willing to play the chicken and be like, okay, I got a revolver, you got a revolver. I bet I have more bullets in my revolver by the time we're done than you do. And I think that's kind of why some of these countries take him so seriously, because they don't know. And this is actually a perfect segue into the next foreign policy topic, and then we'll move on to some other stuff.
Can I say one last thing, real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I just think if you are not sure if your president is being serious about military action, which could involve thousands of people being killed in the conflict, and he's negotiating with countries who now will never take America seriously in deals, because even if we make a deal that we all agree on,
are you seriously going to say that
later,
when Biden's literally sleepwalked through the last 4 years? Come on, man. Don't do that.
I am going to say, yeah, because no matter what, don't get me wrong, you're never going to get me defending Biden's, coherence. He clearly was a dementia-ridden old man, like sundowning on the debate stage.
But you voted for him, right?
Regardless. Yes, I did vote for Joe Biden.
Okay, all right.
Because regardless of that, with the policies that he passes, the bills that he passed, I still support. And let me get this straight: if Joe Biden was literally Weekend at Bernie's corpse being puppeted around by a man with strings or something, so long as his cabinet was making the same kind of deals with these countries that they trust and know that they can continue to trust America, I'd still support it. So yeah,
we'll come back to that for sure, because I definitely want to. We're gonna go that. So I mean, I guess where I wanted to go with our last foreign policy thing before we move on, because we covered tariffs, covered Greenland, we covered Panama, is I guess Mexico and the cartels. He's threatened military action. I don't see why he would be just bluffing. Okay, you would love to see that. That would be interventionism, because you think he's actually going to conquer Mexico?
No, I don't think he will, but I really want to see him back. I want to see him back the Mexican government in their war against the cartels. I don't necessarily want to see
hold on.
troops.
Some would argue that the Mexican government is the cartel.
I mean,
parts of it are under cartel control, but I mean,
the Sinaloa governor has notoriously been a cartel puppet for the last 50 years. I off and on
Grid. I can.
Yeah.
I can
the thing is that
Grid, it's not interventionist, because from Trump's point of view, they're hurting us, right? They're illegal immigrants are coming across the border. You've got fentanyl coming across the border. It's harming Americans. Like that could be arguably self-defense and still be isolationist.
Yeah, but
okay,
I'm going to give you my angle on this. All right. I was annoyed when Obama did Fast and Furious and literally lied to Americans. And while they were taking guns from Americans, they were literally, you've ever heard the term sleepwalking? They were sleepwalking guns across the border, right under the nose of the ATF.
Could you elaborate on that? Pardon me. When you referred to Joe Biden, I knew what you meant by sleepwalking, but in terms of smuggling guns, I actually don't. So,
that means that the ATF knows it's happening, and they watch it, literally watch it happen, and they just ignore it. They're
gotcha.
They're sleepwalking it across the board. Anyway, sorry, it's a term. And
wasn't the idea of doing this to track the guns and make sure that they can use them to find?
That was
it would be like us letting nuclear military materials fall into the hands of terrorists because we want to find out where the terrorists are. I'm not saying it's a good thing if they fuck up and now it's now these terrorists have nuclear weapons. But I think the idea was not, hey, let's just give the cartels guns because we love the cartels. It's, hey, let's put trackers on these or whatever.
Depends on which story you want to believe. The story
why wouldn't you believe that?
The story that the first story we were given was that they were arming weaker cartels to fight larger cartels to hurt everybody, right? So basically, they were promoting infighting. This is some CIA bullshit.
Okay.
To
Yeah.
basically weaken the cartels and allow the Mexican army some chance of controlling the cartels. That was the idea. But that's the first thing we were told. When everyone called bullshit on it, because none of those guns were actually, I mean, the cartels weren't fighting each other. They were using those guns to actually shoot police officers. There was famously an entire like police station jail somewhere in Mexico that was wiped out, like completely wiped out. There's a video of the cops. Like it literally looks like Afghanistan, these Mexican cops fighting the cartel members. It's hilarious. I mean, not hilarious.
Yeah, sure. So 100%, if you let these guns fall into cartel hands, just because you're tracking them doesn't mean they're not going to use them to do things that are really, really
Then
bad.
they
And
said
I don't
that
know.
they
I
were-
haven't studied this, but like I'm sure, things that weren't
Yeah,
good happened.
they have no way of tracking them. The tracking them is irrelevant. They don't have any way of tracking them. So then they came up with the story that they were going to track them, but they never explained how or why, or there were no serial numbers recorded or any of this other stuff. It was very interesting. It was just the CIA doing CIA shit. And
Sure.
So we've messed around down there so much that I would actually support not sending men across the border to fight the cartels, but certainly selling the Mexican government whatever to.
Well, hold on. Let's just talk about that. Hold on. I gotta fight this one. Hold on.
Well, Gibbs, before you, I have a less contentious way of before you ask your contentious, because I know you seem a little contentious about this, but this is just a really quick question for you.
Yeah,
is that completely at odds with your non-interventionalist?
As long as you pay
or is it because
I'm not saying we're giving it to them. We're not going to give it to them. We're not.
Well, this is kind of what I was trying to explain before. Is like, yeah, sure, we Ukraine. You could say that they're loans, or maybe they're never going to pay these back because we give them all this old equipment. But like, we're not doing it out of the goodness of our hearts. We're doing this because it helps us, right? So for every Javelin missile we send to Ukraine, that's like one, maybe two Russian tank exploded that we don't have to blow up if we ever get into a conflict with Russia. In the same way, we would be giving money to the cartels.
I don't believe in the.
Well, sure, you don't have to. I'm just saying, like that is the American justification for it.
I want to fight this fight real quick, because So, all right, what you're proposing has been done.
I know,
and it backfired spectacularly, so bad that now. So when I was growing up, we had La M, right? La M was the main cartel, and they had a bunch of little small ones. Now we have the Zetas, and the Zetas were created by U.S. Special Forces that were Mexican military trained, because Mexico surprisingly has a fucking good military, and they're very effective. They go. They're one of the countries that actually goes all over the world. And here's the thing: we trained these guys up, and then they broke away in mass, and now you know where these fuckers are? They're all along the southern border in Brownsville and Laredo, and they're killing people broadly in the streets all the time. And they just classify it as Texas gang violence, but it's the cartels, it's Zetas. And these guys are literally, some of them are even U.S. soldiers or former U.S. soldiers that are in in this group. So whenever you're sitting here telling me the solution is send money to Mexican government to fight this, money. Or send or train them up, or
no. I didn't say any of those things.
Well, yeah, but you did. You said, "Oh, we should either train them up, or we should."
I didn't say that. I said we can sell them weapons.
Oh, good. So we're selling the guys that we train better weapons.
The actual army, not the cartels. I understand that in some places that's the same thing. I just would support. Support the Mexican government buying just like Poland. I support Poland buying. I love Poland. Poland buys so much shit from us. They pay cash. They are literally they're literally like what Texas would be.
Yeah, Little Texas is what we call them.
Yeah, they're what Texas would be if there wasn't the NFA.
Well, no. Texas does have its own. Anyway, Texas has the only state I think that has its own military branches, but that's a whole different thing. Also, here's one. So I guess one more foreign policy topic. F-35 program, massive hits because now these countries don't want to buy them. What's your argument for that, Grid? Like, are you fan or not a fan?
I mean, we were selling. The whole purpose behind selling the F-35 is to fund the new fighter. I don't know that it really matters globally in our military spending. Unfortunately, I think it should. I think that there was a purpose behind doing what they said they were doing. They just haven't done it. I don't know. I don't have a strong. I have a strong.
I have a
opinion.
I have a semi-strong opinion on this.
Yeah, sure.
And this is kind of what I was speaking about before, where I think Portugal was the first country I read about that it's doing this. But people, are pulling out of buying American military equipment because they say we can't trust you anymore. You're not a reliable trade partner, and this is hurting America, right? Like when countries lose faith in us, like in the same way these same countries are now issuing travel warnings because of non-citizens or permanent residents being, snatched up. Like it's hurting our global power with these countries. It's hurting our ability to have free trade. It's hurting our ability to sell things because no one trusts us. No one thinks we're going to hold up our deals. No one trusts, where no one knows where our allegiances lie. It's kind of hurting everything that would otherwise have made America the hegemonic power.
Do you think
it's very
we have
confusing to
allegiance
me.
with Portugal?
Well, yeah, 100%. They're our ally, yes.
How are they an ally?
Because there are, I don't know what you're asking. They're our ally, like in the same way that any other
Do
country
they
that
send us
aligns with
money?
our geopolitical goals.
Do they send us money?
I don't know. I'm sure we
We
do trade with
send
them.
them
They
money?
probably send us some sort of products.
Hmm.
Well, we
That
send
would be
money
a
to
trading
NATO
partner.
and
That's
NATO
not an
defends
ally.
Portugal.
How many
Well,
troops
wait.
do they send us?
Well, hold on.
What do you?
Let me ask you a question.
What makes you? What makes
an
an
ally? Yeah, what makes an ally? That's what I want to know. What are we
You're like,
defining
would
as
you
an
consider
ally?
Albania our ally because, or not an ally because Albania doesn't send us troops? Like, they're our ally because we have the same interests, and we, I'm sure, I think, probably just like many other small
Well,
countries after
they could be our
9/11, they sent
friend.
us like a goat and a cart or something. But like, if they don't have the
Ally
capacity
is a
to
strong
send us a shit
word.
ton of money,
It has some serious ramifications. At the word ally. If I'm
okay. Well,
allied
what's
with
your
if I'm
definition of
allied with
ally?
Gibbs, his fight is my fight.
Okay.
If
Well,
so,
I'll say
hold
this:
on. So
if someone were to attack Portugal,
yeah,
America would go and defend them, and if someone were to attack America, Portugal would go and
has
defend them.
any country ever come to our defense?
Yeah, Canada and Britain, when we invoked the NATO, was it Article 5 during the Iraq War? That's where they went and fought for us.
France battle Saratoga.
France as
After
well.
Saratoga, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess if we're going far that back, but I'm talking about in the recent times, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, countries absolutely come to our aid. The only thing is, we are so powerful that often we do not need it, but sometimes we ask for it occasionally. So,
Okay.
So, all right, moving on to I guess our next, I guess maybe it's semi-international immigration seems to have been fixed overnight by the Trump administration.
guys.
Yeah, y'all all knew that if we're on a Give stream and we're talking about Trump's 100 days, we're gonna be talking about immigration here to some point. He's got another phone call. What are your thoughts about the immigration so far, Soy Bill?
I think a lot of people are reactionary in the sense of you get a Democrat and you're like, oh, like any and all enforcement of the border is terrible, and I just want to come out because I know you have a primarily right wing audience. So yeah, obviously we need some sort of strong border, but the problem is the way that is being enforced. I think is cruel. I think it's inefficient. I think the amount of money we're spending to deport people is not working. And if you look at like the actual policy goal, which is a mass deportation of what 11 million plus people, it just doesn't make any sense in comparison to doing a Reagan, which is giving amnesty, trying to get these people in the tax system, and actually making money for the American people. And especially the thing that really bothers me right now is the plain clothes, Gestapo ICE style raids where they're just pulling up in a van and throwing students into the back of a truck. I think that's insane. It's scary. It's probably a violation of free speech. At the very least, it should concern you if you're, that who are they going to come for next? These people aren't doing, violent crime. The allegations against them are, without charges, and it's, I don't think it's a very good job.
I really would like to get in on this, but unfortunately, my wife has been delayed, so I have to go pick my son up at daycare. So,
All right, well, thanks for that. Thanks for we got a
apologize,
spirited
man.
hour in here.
I was like,
thanks for joining. It was nice to meet you, good.
yeah, I was. I really want to keep going with this, but I can't.
This is all your idea. No, I'm just kidding.
I know it was, but I thought my wife was picking up my kid. I'm sorry. She's.
Democrats will support stronger subsidies for childcare. So I just want to throw that out there. You would get to stay where a Democrat president right now. So
no, I still have to go pick them up. At any rate,
school buses.
It
school buses.
It was fun. Soy Pill, you were a much better faith than I thought, and for an off the cuff, you did very well. I don't think I did very well. I'm kind of scatterbrained today, but that's okay.
No worries. I appreciate the talk, and if you want to talk longer in the future, let me know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Soy, I hope you. We're not always this disorganized over in Papa Gibbs land.
That's what you said yesterday.
Listen, we're filling things in. This was his fault this time, and Dylan's before that. But we over here, we make.
Hey, I'm all. If I say I'm going to be there, I'll be there. Unfortunately, this time I do have to bow out. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will.
You as well.
I'll catch you guys later. Sorry, Gibbs, man. I'm sorry. That was totally unplanned, man. Sorry, and totally
Man.
unprofessional, by the way.
Hey,
Totally.
things happen.
Yeah,
just
you're all
lucky-
good.
Yeah, I'm just lucky I don't have children to go pick up because I would have abandoned them for this debate and CPS would have been called.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't.
That's funny.
See you guys.
All right.
Toodaloo.
Well, so I guess we can end on that note. Tell us what's your thoughts.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have to go pick up my kids. I will be back at 8:00. We have who do we have? We have I Killed Earl. I Killed Earl. We're going to have great discussions, not a debate, but it's going to be a great discussion. I will be back in a few minutes. What's up, Wicked Wally? Good to see you. As a matter of fact, if somebody wants to come up and just wrangle the show for like half an hour or 45 minutes, I'll just leave this bitch live. We'll just keep going. We'll roll. But, but unfortunately, I got to go. So anyone? No? All righty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, be cool. Wear glasses if you need them. And going to have to get off my lawn now.